Over.
Right, right, everybody, thank you for coming on this Saturday morning. Appreciate you all being here. As a reminder, we do record these meetings. So if you know anybody who missed these meetings, you can watch these on YouTube in the next day or two. It'll be posted to YouTube, I believe.
Yes.
Maybe a couple days.
Yes.
And but because we are now officially calling these public meetings, because we do have more than 3 council members here, we will go ahead and make this official and do a roll call. Take it away.
Councilmember Dion Bracco.
Here.
Tom Klein.
Here.
Terrence Regazzi.
Here.
Zach Hilton. Carol Marks. Kelly Ramirez. Mayor Greco.
Here. Right, thank you. So before I get into some of the topics of today, I just want to remind everybody that I'd like to invite the council members that are here. Councilmember Bracco's here, thank you very much. Councilmember Klein's here, thank you very much. Councilmember Bugatti here, thank you very much. Marilyn Cruz came in on her day off typically, so thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. So I'll get right into it. Typically, like I always say, look, we're not restricted by any topic, but I do have some that I would like to talk about. I wrote about it in the Spotlight a couple of weeks ago. So I would like to get into those today. I'll go one by one, and as I go along, feel free to ask questions. Instead of me listing all 5 or 6, I'll get into 1 or 2, and feel free to ask questions, and then we'll move on to the next, some of the initiatives that council is working on. My hope today is to go over 5 or 6 of them. That doesn't mean that's all what we're doing. At council and at City Hall, we have a giant list of things that we're working on, but there's some that are quite important that we are working on right now. So first and foremost, as many of you know, is that we are actively in a city administrator search. Our city administrator decided to retire in July. So we currently have an interim city administrator, Brad Kilger. He's been with us for about 5 or 6 weeks now. And we have begun the process of a search for a permanent city administrator. And that process started out by our staff put out an invitation to search firms. These are firms that they specialize in recruitment in all kinds of different positions. This search firm specializes in the recruitment for city level executives. So this past week, a few of us council members who had been on an ad hoc committee since last spring, and when we were dealing with some of the goals of the last city administrator, and then we also helped usher through the search for the interim city administrator. This group approved the search firm. So the search firm has been selected. And so this week's staff will come back to council on Monday to give an update where we're at with the search firm. The process, the way that will go down is now that we have a search firm, the search firm will start to meet with council individually so that they can, get to know council and get to know what we're like and figure out the priorities and what type of city administrator that we're after. And the way they usually do that, they develop a brochure, a digital brochure and an actual brochure, and that's what they use for their national search. So those are the next steps when it comes to searching for a city administrator. We are looking for public input. Of course, we will encourage at the meeting and here at the council meeting is for the public to reach out to your council members and for the council members to reach out to your constituents about getting feedback about what they want in their next city administrator. There's a very good chance that we will have possibly a meeting, something like this in October, where we're focused just on the concept of city administrator and get feedback from the community. So the goal, once we get to that process of selection, interview, setting up goals, vetting candidates throughout the country. That's the job of the recruitment. Then it comes through this process, it comes back to council, and we continue this process with the goal that by early January that we will have a new city administrator. And believe it or not, for me, you know, someone who comes from a little small business in the private sector, I think to myself, man, it takes that long. But it does take that long when you throw in the holidays, right? Even if we move very quickly and we found a new city administrator by middle of November, pretty good chance that somebody's not going to move to Gilroy right around the holiday season. So our goal, I mean, it could be different, we could be better, but our goal is early January for a new city administrator. Question so far?
What criteria are you looking for?
Well, that will be determined as, yeah.
But what have you instructed us?
Well, I mean, we haven't instructed the search firm anything yet, other than that the council has a legislative agenda that we decided throughout the strategic plan process this past spring. So that's certainly something that would be on the list already. But as we get into next week, after we officially start this process, then the search firm is going to be talking to council. Council can be talking to the community, and it's that time that we're going to decide, you know, some of the criteria. What's one of them? I'll just give you one, right? It's pretty obvious that this council is very, very interested in economic development, right? We want to do a lot more. We have higher ambitions when it comes to economic development. So certainly maybe a city administrator that has a lot of experience in economic development. Your comment?
There's also very specific criteria in the charter in terms of how many years of experience they need to have, either in a direct city administration role, either a city role, or as a junior, which I believe is 1 year in former and 3 years in the latter, or equivalent experience. And I think that, you know, at least for myself, the or equivalent experience carries some weight, but I'd really like to see somebody who has a lot more experience.
Great point. Yeah, experience. Someone with a lot of experience. Yeah.
On the website, it says that the city administrator was on be selecting the new police chief.
Yeah.
I wondered why.
There's a general understanding, acceptance that it's extremely important when you're doing a police chief search, that police chief is interviewing with their boss. Right, so the police chief reports directly to the city administrator. And there was a generally accepted idea that it would be best that the next city administrator played a role in that. And it's also safe to say that not every single person in the world agrees with that idea, but I think it's a reasonable approach. That's why we're at that point.
Would that require another search firm? Another search firm, another consultant?
Yes, that search firm is already under contract with the city of Gilroy. That's on my second item here, so thank you. Yeah, it's okay. So she's asking about the search for our police chief, right? So some of you know that we did a process last spring, a long 5 months long process for a police chief search, and that didn't work out the way we would have liked. And then right at that time, we decided our city administrator decided to go into retirement, and we thought it would be best to pause that process until where we are now. And then we decided that it's best that the new city administrator plays a role in the next police chief. So there is a firm already in place. There are applications being received, and the interviews aren't happening until much later in the fall into December, so that the folks that are applying for the police chief, the new city administrator will have, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 to review once they begin, instead of 20 or 25. That's the role of the search firm and the recruiter at this point.
It should be mentioned too, that we have a very capable interim who can be extended into the March timeframe and who has been doing a great job.
And you'll skip by as well.
Has he applied? No, he's retired. So he's a retired,
Yeah.
sheriff. Assistant sheriff or whatever. Yeah.
Right, so what Councilmember Fugazi is talking about, right? So we have an interim, right? He's retired from Santa Clara County Sheriff, and there are rules about California's retirement system. Maybe some of you are on that. That they can only work 962 hours, I believe, something like that, in a calendar year. The good thing about the interim police chief we have now is that he restarted in July. So we do have some flexibility about him staying around until March or April or so.
We went through the same process with the fire chief
Yeah,
and it extended a little longer.
yeah,
So he stayed on, but reduced his hours.
Yeah.
To extend it out. So you can work the numbers just based on
Yeah.
what the need is. So that's workable.
so what Councilmember Klein said, right, we did that with the last retirement interim we had for fire, right? As you get down to the end, you still, you still want some leadership there. Sometimes, like through the holidays, we say maybe 20 hours a week, not 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, so that we can get them into March or April.
How about Jim Wyatt? Have they replaced him?
He was, he retired
I know.
about a year,
They
over a year
replaced
ago.
him?
Yeah. Yeah, so we had an interim and now we have a permanent fire chief. Yeah, Rob Flea, his name is. 4 months or so, you've been here? Yeah. Any other comments or questions about police chief search? Okay. Next, something that I already mentioned that's very important to this council is economic development. So, so this council decided through the strategic plan process that went on here and through last spring with community input that it was very important that we focus on economic development. We decided to go in a different path, and for the first time ever, this council decided to set aside funds to have a in-house economic development director. So it's a whole new department. It's never happened at the city of Gilroy. So we're in the process of setting up that department now. The final details are being put together on the job description. That'll go to the Personnel Commission in a week and a half. Personnel Commission has to review it because it is a new position. And after that, we will this interim city administrator who has a lot of background in economic development, he will lead the recruitment with the search firm, but he will lead the recruitment for economic development for this community. So we're excited about that. For me, it can't happen fast enough. Just like I said before, can't believe how long things take sometimes, but we're excited about having someone in-house for economic development. I've always said, and I think our other council members agree, that there's a ton of opportunity and potential in Gilroy, and we really are looking forward to finding a really experienced, again, this word experienced economic development director, so that we can go tap into the potential in this community. The whole idea, a lot of people, I've been to some where we speak sometimes, and there's young kids there, and then the kids say, why is economic development important, right? So most of the people in this room know that already, but it's extremely important, for the revenue of this community. It's important for a lot of reasons, but that's one of the challenges that we face as a council is that, that general fund dollars, it runs out really fast when you start peeling back the budget. And we want to be able to provide more services to this community. And during this process, I never forget what Councilmember Fugazi said. We were talking about the budget and some of the services for this community. And wouldn't it be great if someday in Gilroy we were at a point where we weren't budgeting and doing services based on what we don't have, but we were doing it based on abundance. And that's an aggressive and idealistic goal, but it's a great goal. And we hope to be there one day.
Can I add one more thing to it?
Sure.
The other thing too, for the community, I think that it's sometimes hard to understand in some of these recruitment processes is that if you want some of the best people around, you don't get to set the market rate for what pay is or what benefits are or what have you. So if you believe that something is like, wow, that's just way too much money for somebody to get paid that, well, you get a choice. You get a choice to take somebody in the 80th percentile of quality, or you can take somebody in the 20th percentile of quality. But the market is the market, and you can't change whatever the market is in general. We can lament that it is the way it is, but it is what it is. So at least keep that in mind, as especially we're going through all of these processes of new hires, to understand that what is out there in terms of people who will do something and people who will do something well for the city of Gilroy, we don't get to set what those rates are. The rates are set by the market.
So I would think in that position, there'd be a base salary and you're incentivized.
Oh, I love that, but
I'm just saying,
I'm from the
Right?
private sector.
And
man,
you
so
should
you're
be
talking
incentivized
my language,
to
okay?
develop the economy, because if you
Yes.
don't develop the economy, why am I paying you?
Well, I wish it was that way around the state, but unfortunately, that's not how the market's working either. So I would love
There
to
are-
see that with you.
There are some challenges when it comes to pay schedules and salaries within government. And they're hard for all of us to understand, but actually, we are going into this process when it comes to the city administrator and the economic development director. That even though we are sort of restricted or limited by these salary scales, there is some flexibility when it comes to other benefits or perks. And we're leaving that door wide open, and we're actually making that part of the search narrative. Is that, we don't want someone to go, oh, that's something to scale them out. We want to entice them to Gilroy.
And I can assure you, in the private sector, where I love those things because they create the accountability and the results. The flip side of that here in the city, at least for me, is that now I know that I personally am going to up the accountability of everybody in the city while I'm, in my term. Because I know that there isn't that built-in way of keeping people aligned with what you want as results. So that means that me or other people on the council have to be even that much more involved in assuring that there's accountability and results.
And you look at the person's track record to see how, you want a self-starter, someone who is progressive, and you want to see that experience and that track record. And I think, the government, they don't have the incentive of those things, but there are ways to make that work. And I think that's the one part about this council. It's looking at those creative ways that we can go around this.
Yeah, any thoughts? Any thoughts? What economic development director? Anybody have criteria they'd like to see? Maybe city administrator?
I think for
Somebody good. Yeah,
I think
that's
for
just,
city administrator, I think the check-ins by council maybe need to be more frequent.
Somebody that understands this area, see
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
How much input did you fellas have on that article in the Mercury News a couple of weeks ago?
that's not our role.
I know, but
Yeah.
they quoted everybody, they said
Yeah.
that Gilroy had the biggest homeless
Yeah.
population in the whole valley.
Yeah. But I don't know how the city administrator works into that, the criteria of the city administrator. But other than we really, all of us, I think this community would like to do better about the homeless situation in Gilroy. Whether some of those numbers are agreeable or not, right? Nobody disagrees. I think we have. Diana, what were you saying one more time?
Oh, just about the council check-ins.
Yeah,
To make sure that milestones are being met and actually work is going forward.
yeah,
It seems like, if you hire somebody really experienced, the tendency might be to let them run, not, I just think that it's important for
Yeah.
you guys to check that.
Absolutely.
Or they might be too strong-willed, right?
good
Well,
luck,
that-
good luck with this group,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, well, plenty of things about.
Yeah, go ahead, be strong-willed.
so another question I have is housing on the table
Yeah.
for any of these positions? A housing, help
For new hires?
for the, like city administrator, the economic.
But you mean their emphasis on where they stand on housing, you're saying?
No.
No, housing for
I
that
asked it wrong.
Oh,
as an incentive,
incentive.
like what they did in Morgan.
nothing, not much is off the table. Yeah, so I think what she's talking about is can the city provide other benefits above and beyond salary? And a lot of times what cities do, especially if they attract someone from out of the area, especially in California, because housing is so expensive, oftentimes cities get into, low interest loans, things like that to entice them. Yeah.
We've been that route before, and councils have decided that it's not a good idea, because if you hire somebody give them money to buy a house, and then what happens in 6 months when you decide this guy's a clown, you get rid of it? Now you still got this other problem that you gotta deal with.
Well, hopefully what you're deciding.
It has to be well thought.
If somebody, if a city manager gets hired and they can't get a loan to buy a house, then that's a problem right there.
We could set them up in Eagle Ridge right near the Great Wolf Lodge.
Say that again?
Set them up in Eagle Ridge right near the Great Wolf
Oh,
Lodge.
yeah. There's no Great Wolf.
I know
Lodge
there
anyway.
isn't. I know that.
Economic development, any thoughts?
I have a question. So you're creating a whole new department here.
Yeah.
So have you set expectations and goals for this department? Like we're bringing in a new person, we expect there to be a 3% increase in revenue.
Yeah.
You figure it out, whatever you think needs to happen.
Yeah.
But have there been expectations set or goals set for this department?
Not yet, so,
You don't
typically,
know what you don't know.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
person who comes in helps you with their own experience, understanding what the possibles are, really, because they have that experience. If somebody from the outside, doing themselves, doesn't have such experience, comes in and goes, this is what our expectations are, certainly not the way to go about it. And then once that is understood with whoever the hire is, then you're able to go in and go, okay, this is what you think is possible, this is where the milestones are, this is where our expectations are. And then, yes, you hold people again to those, like, hey, I'd love there to be a financial incentive, trust me, more than you know, it's my entire world revolves around.
As
it.
well as there will be a lot of conversation with council and the community, Chamber of Commerce, local investors, business folks, local people, like what. So I am always reluctant about saying what I want until we get, some input from the community. But yeah, there will be a short-term and a long-term strategy with that person, but we want that person's input before we make it. And for better or for worse, again, back to how long this stuff takes. Unfortunately, it takes a while, especially when you do community input. So, but we want to move as fast as we can.
So let me play back what I think I heard.
Yeah.
So the mayor.
Economic development, I'm sorry.
It's
No,
okay.
I'm sorry for not raising.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
My fault.
Go ahead.
So ultimately, the government directs what goes on here, the council and the mayor, right?
Right.
So you all are gonna have a really good idea of what you think you want. You're gonna bounce this off these people you're going to hire and then come to some decision. So realistically, except for an outside chance, the person you get should be a good fit for what the community wants to see. Is that an accurate statement?
Sure.
Thanks.
Jeff?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll ask about the economic development because are they concentrating on certain kind of development over others? I mean, retail, the last time I was at Home Depot, that whole section of the mall out there seems deserted.
Yeah, so what he was saying, are they concentrating? They're not concentrating on anything yet. This is what we have to do, come up with a plan so that they'll concentrate on what we think is best for Gilroy. Right, but there's all kinds of opportunities, right? There's reinvestment at our retail sector. Possibly, right? We believe that, there's a lot of land out at the Gary Garden site, as someone just mentioned. Right, there's land out there, right? There's a lot of things that I'll be talking about for Gilroy.
Sports center.
Sports center, and sports park, Sharks Ice. Right, which would lead to more hotels, economic development, so there's all kinds of opportunities to go with it. Mr. Walton? Any thoughts on economic development? Send you a letter. Okay.
Thank you.
Great, well, I'll move on. Yes, in the back. Sure.
Speaking about this economic development, are you taking into consideration the infrastructure, how it is? Because in the last few weeks, I'm just saying, power outages every single day almost, and it gets to be a pain.
Yeah.
Going around, you said in the box, your TVs, all
Yeah,
that stuff. And how is that affecting the current infrastructure that we have? When you're talking about building more, creating more,
Yeah,
I think that needs to be brought to the forefront because before we develop needs, we just need to make sure the current infrastructure is able to affect all this.
were you the one that wrote me about power outages? Cause, yeah, so apparently, so I'll try to answer that question, but apparently, one neighborhood on Northwest Quad.
I hear you.
You're,
Yes, that's correct.
the heck was that? Apparently, Northwest Quad, power keeps going out.
Yes,
So,
there's a representative there.
yeah, I reached out to, thank you, Jeffrey. I reached out to the person who wrote me and she said that she checked in with PG&E and, it's something within their system that they're working on. I don't know, but I want to expand a little bit on what you said about infrastructure. Because people say this all the time, it's just not infrastructure, it's services. Right, that's where we.
On the street, so you know. Yeah.
That's where we really also have to be careful is as we expand our community is do fire and police and recreation and city services keep up with the population? And that's definitely been a challenge. And that's something that is on council's agenda, certainly when it comes to the services that are presented to this community. It's on our agenda to, as one of our goals is to review in detail and how we can do better with fire, police, recreation, and city services. But it's a challenge, especially when it comes to housing, right? Because there's state housing mandate laws about more housing, and there's not one penny for more services. It's a giant challenge, not just for Gilroy, but for a lot of cities.
You mentioned in economic development for small towns, what that typically means, or what it often means, is an increase in housing because increase in revenue. But as we do that, we still have to keep Gilroy.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've seen, and the reason why I'm going to start going to these meetings is, especially in the Edgar Pass specific plan, there's this constant encroachment on the agricultural land that was supposedly set aside, and attempts to rezone that into more, single family residential housing.
Yeah.
I understand there has to be, I'm hoping there's a balance between, as opposed to just like dropping it, unless it's sort of maintaining that side of Gilroy.
Yeah. I do believe this council is very, very considerate of the idea of maintaining Gilroy as Gilroy.
Yeah.
Personally, I do believe and love the agricultural roots of this community, and I would hate to lose that. And that speaks directly to what we were saying, right? So how much encroachment do we want on ag land, right?
Right.
What he's talking about, just in case folks don't know, Hecker Pass specific plan was a plan that's probably 23 years old, maybe a little bit more than 20 years old. And that was a plan that was developed by the community and the government back, in the beginning of this century. That sounds weird, but that's when it was developed. And the idea was there would be a certain amount of housing in certain areas, and there would be housing that would not be in certain areas. And I think those are the areas that you're concerned with right now that are under pressure.
Specifically the buffer between
Yeah.
152 and the
Sure.
housing that was
Right.
supposed to be a set.
Yeah, so as you drive down Hecker Pass and there's, you see the red barn and there's that open land, there's a buffer between the developments. And you're right, there are applicants for that land based on state laws that'll allow them to apply. It does not mean that that's gonna be built, but it has allowed them to apply.
I think that's my concern. My concern is, are oftentimes these rezoning efforts, are they rubber stamped, or is there actual debate around whether or not this is good for the community? That's my main question.
Great question. Right now, as far as council and this city hall is concerned, there is no rezoning effort going on Hecker Pass. Right? I know it's threatening when you see a sign that says future development. It's a free country.
Yeah.
They can put up a sign, they can apply. And that's the stage that we're at right now. They've applied.
Yeah.
As far as city of Gilroy and this council's concerned, help me out here, any council members, it is zoned, but it's zoned. And right now, I believe it's agritourism, not housing.
There's agritourism, there's agricultural, and agricultural great too.
Right. So it's not housing right now.
No, the challenge is builder's remedy.
Yeah.
That's what we're faced with,
Yeah.
that development.
Yeah.
since everything is mandated by the state for more housing and all, how are they accommodating our highways in the immediate area from Gilroy to maybe Morgan Hill? It's not maintained. I've written, I've called, they're not doing it and it's horrible. So can you stop building till they fix the highway? Because it's
Well,
actually what's gonna happen, it's horrible.
Well, let me comment, then you go ahead. So, does anyone here work with Caltrans? Okay, now I could be a little critical. Yes, it's tough. Can we stop building because the highways aren't done? No, fortunately not.
But can you
We
put
can,
pressure on?
of course we can. We can advocate to have better services, and we've begun that again down here in South County. If you're suggesting that you think the services has been very poor, you're right.
Thank you.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, go ahead.
So myself and Councilman DePine sit on the VTA Mobility Partnership, I guess. Includes Caltrans and VTA and
San Benito County.
there you go, thank you. And
And it's all around the Highway 25, 101
correct,
exchange.
basically everything's kind of from Morgan Hill south, right down the Hollister area. And in my first meeting there, exactly what you brought up is what I brought up at that meeting, which is especially the number 3 lane, I guess it is, the outside lane going both directions on 101 is an absolute disaster. It has been that way almost since I moved here 13 years ago. And I, in not even a light way, explained to those people from those organizations that they should be driving it when they come down to the meetings and driving back over it so that they could know. And on the schedule, it's for 2029. And I more or less said, and you can remember, and then Mayor Turner from Morgan Hill chimed in as well and said, yes, all the way down to where I am.
And the guy from San Benito.
And
China.
exactly, and exactly, and so we are pressing Caltrans in a lot of different areas to step up where they're supposed to step up, and VTA as well, as much as we possibly can as a multi, again, it's government, so it frustrates me at times more than you know, but we'll see if we can get more of the patchwork and whatnot done, but as far as the overall funding, it's not till then. And then the next big thing on 101 is expressing. So that's the thing that they're trying to get funded next, which is to put another lane in South County that will be an express lane. So.
And they're doing between 85 to 101.
Right.
As the express lane. You see signposted, that's supposed to be done by 27. But what we're talking about is beyond that, from Cochrane to 25 would be carpool lane all the way to that point. So then it would be countywide. And that's the extent. We're also pushing hard for funding for the extension of Santa Teresa, because now Castro Valley and Mesa is closed permanently. So the only relief is coming down to Chesa, and it just, with our infrastructure, it impacts that in a bad way. So I think what's happening from the mayor, what he's doing, but also from what we're doing, is the communication is there. We're directly communicating with them our concerns. They did mitigation from Morgan Hill to about San Martin, where they cleaned up those spots. But from that point, it's the worst part was really from San Martin Avenue.
Correct.
All the way to the way station.
Yeah.
Is horrible.
And
So
right,
they threw some funding at it to mitigate to a certain degree, but back from San Martin Avenue to Gilroy and then going north, it's bad all the way through.
But the best thing I can tell you to do is appreciate you coming and advocating here, and we're doing as much as we can. But absolutely go to the Caltrans site, go there, submit over and over and over again.
Yep.
Even if you've done it once, submit it every week. And tell everybody you know to submit it, because the more they see that, right, and then they hear it coming from us, it goes from both sides, and it can certainly have a much better effect.
Gary,
So you're saying in 2029, they're going to start with an express lane? That's the current.
No. The 2029 was the resurfacing, basically, of the whole corridor was scheduled for 2029.
Just resurfacing, not improving, but
Well, not extending lanes or anything of that nature. I can't remember what the express lane still needs funding. So it's not even done like in the plan yet, because they have to identify funding for it. But that's the next thing that they're trying, and that will be, I'm sure, after 2030 for express lane.
so there's currently nothing in the plans for improving the traffic flow on
And all of this stuff is available to all of you as well. I mean, it's all public documents. You can go out and see what's going on. I'm actually also trying to lobby them to get the actual meetings that we go to, because they record them, but they don't publish them on their website. So I'm trying to get them to do that as well, so people can become more and more informed. You know, with this kind of thing, like the taping here, the mayor's meeting, all that's super important to stay informed.
It's a transparency, that know what's going on.
I feel this like pissing in the wind, into the wind, because until you change state government, everything flows down from there. You know, we talk about monies. Our money is like a big sucking sound from the cities and the counties back to the state government. So until as a citizenry within the state, we get rid of those jackasses up there, this is a constant problem we're gonna be facing. So
there's a lot of people determining and announcing that they're running for governor right now. So
would you like me to run?
do it. To be that outsider.
Yeah, let me write a check for you.
Hey, to be clear, you mentioned, you know, about Caltrans and Terrence, just so in case people don't know, they do have a system, sort of like the Gilroy Connect system, where you can go to Caltrans, submit a ticket. It's all these noises today. Right? Someone walk the building again. There's a system for Caltrans where you can go, you see something that you don't like, you know, like a boat dumped on the road. And you can go and do it. And Terrence is right, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If a lot of people are doing something, saying something, they're more likely to respond.
Representatives too.
Yeah.
Why is it that some roadways are kept at, like, if you go on 85, you go, you're heading south or go to 101, it's horrible, but then you get on 85 and it's smooth and fast. So how do they decide what roads are gonna be kept up and which ones are not?
Somebody help me here. I don't know.
Well, 101's what, 40 years old, 50 years old, and 85's not that old. So 101 takes a lot more maintenance just because of its age, and it's all concrete, so it cracks. And if you drive on 101 at night, mostly year round, they're out there working on it, but they work at night because they close the lanes down.
But you're right, there's a difference. And the other thing about 85 is I don't know anything about the funding. The other thing about 85, it has a different weight limit. I'm not sure if you know that. Well, there's certain weight limits on 101 you cannot take on 85. Even our what is it? What's the weight?
Big rig can't, it's 16,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's not even that.
Big rigs can't be on 85 unless.
Next time you're on 85, look around. You will rarely even see a truck with a trailer and a tractor on it. It's too heavy. They have to stay on 101 and go 280.
Isn't 280 the same way it was?
280 is not, but 85 and 87 have strict.
For Gilroy, we have those too, so Santa Teresa and down, obviously 152, through town, and we have those weight limit areas too. They're broken all the time.
Yeah.
85 definitely, you'll see the sign. Other economic development? Well, I'm glad you're here because all these funny noises are going on. The other thing that I wrote about in the spotlight was recreation. So recreation, back when we were doing the budget, right towards the end of the budget process in our strategic plan process, there was a lot of conversation in this community about recreation. So we addressed it at council, and we decided at that time that we wanted to take a pause on the amount of what we were budgeting for recreation back in June. And we are gonna restart the conversation, not this Monday, but Monday, the 15th, I believe is the next council meeting.
Yep.
Is that staff is coming back with a presentation, and we're gonna restart the conversation about recreation in Gilroy. So what does that mean? That night, are we gonna decide all of a sudden that we have a brand new department and stuff? No, but we want to reinitiate this conversation about recreation. Some of the things that are really tied to recreation, that you can't have the rec conversation until you have the swimming pool conversation. And until you have a fee review process. What does it cost for a family to sign up 2 kids? Is it too much? Is it too little? These are the things that we want to review. So looking forward, we can make some decisions about recreation in this community.
And there might be some trade-offs, right? I mean, we've uncovered a lot, even in the swimming situation, where a lot of people thought that it was about swimming lessons. When in fact, the reality of the swimming pool at Christopher High School is so expensive because it's basically an amusement park, right? We pay $70,000 a year in insurance that we wouldn't have to pay otherwise if there were not activity slides that it happens to have. I'm not saying they should go or stay or what have you, but it's an understanding that what are all the pieces of things that are involved in the cost and upkeep, and what's the number of people coming, what's the revenue, all of these things together so that you can go, okay, if you want to have that in the community, this is what the costs are, this is what it is, and we can't have this over here. But if we didn't do that, maybe we can do this, because you can't just spend until forever. You have to make some choices with one or the other, until you have economic development, more money,
Yeah.
then we can maybe spend a lot more.
Yeah. Any thoughts on recreation? Okay, the next thing on the list that I wrote about was Civic Center Master Plan. So some of you are aware that earlier in the year, we started a conversation regarding a Civic Center Master Plan. It actually started in the previous council. Set aside funds to do a big giant study about should we do a Civic Center Master Plan for this part of town, right? So what does that mean? Is that we did community engagement. What it came up with is that the community is definitely interested in a rec center, right? So what does that mean, rec center? Think Morgan Hill has that CRC, has weights, has yoga, has swimming, has childcare, activities room. That's something that would be a rec center. And currently the concept, right now, everything's just a concept, would be something like that would go on the corner of this lot here, which is where the old Wheeler Auditorium is. Right, the other thing that the community was interested in is the idea of a youth center, arts, things like that. So that idea right now is currently, as a concept, is on this corner over here, right where the parking lot is. And further ideas in the concept of revising the master plan here would be at some point a new city hall. So the city hall's getting pretty old. Doesn't mean that we can't continue here for a while, but the city hall is getting pretty old. So the idea, so they came up with a conceptual master plan for this entire site, which would include a rec center, a youth center, a rebuilt senior center, and a civics and a city hall. And this is something that, you know, even in a good situation, could probably take over 10 years. Right, so there was a conceptual plan that the community helped with. That conceptual plan is now in environmental review, which will be done around the spring. And then the real work begins. Like, how do you finance and pay for this? Right, so.
Does the community want that?
Yeah.
Do they want to pay for it?
There'll be further outreach to the community, right? Just to give you a sense, what does something like this cost? Over $300 million, almost, probably more, right? I believe Sunnyvale just finished theirs 2 years ago. Bigger city, 4 floors, I think it was $300 million. That doesn't count rec center, that doesn't count a theater, or just their city hall was $300 million. So as you can imagine, for here we've been talking about economic development, and we have a budget of general funds that we use every single penny of, and we're trying to figure out how do we staff more rec. Well, how could we even imagine of building something like this? Well, just in case you missed it, it would come in the form of bonds, which are on your property tax. So this is what the community is going to have to.
And as planned right now, in full transparency, right, it would probably be on the average Gilroy home, say $1 million home, $500 to $900 a year to fund it. So let's have reality on that.
Times 40 years.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
how your
yeah.
conversation should.
Councilmember Dion,
Ask them what people
You
want.
can help them.
Yeah, so yeah, great idea. So let's talk about, we've done this in the past a little bit, not those type of numbers, but we did the library and Councilmember
It all
Brock.
comes down to what the community is willing to pay for.
Yep.
With the library, we went out, we educated the community on the need for a library. Our old library, it was leaking water when it would rain, no heating, no air conditioning, it was bad. And once the community saw the need, the community 72% said, yeah, we'll pay for it. And the council at the time, we promised the community that we were going to spend the money wisely, and we finished ahead of schedule and under budget with the library. And it's, if you haven't been there, go there. It's a beautiful building. That we have all kinds of stuff going on there almost every day. My daughters, they go there all the time they have people show you how to plant, winter plants and just all kinds of stuff. So it's a very well-used building. I was there, about a month ago and with Greg, and before they open, people are lined up to get in the morning. So it's a very well-used building and the community is still happy that they're paying for it. You know, I have an expensive piece of property and I feel it, you know, it's like $900 on my tax bill. And I don't like paying that, but the benefit for the community is worth it.
How
Now,
much did that cost you?
Pardon?
How much did it cost? The library?
The library, we bonded it at 30 million. We spent 22.
It came in like 800.
Yeah, and we actually, myself and Councilmember Tucker and Dylan, we formed a subcommittee. We met with the construction once a week on site. And when we were done, it was unheard of, but it only had 2 change orders for the whole project. And that's probably why it came in under budget, because we kept it the way it was designed. And everybody's happy with it. And it's beautiful.
And you learned from the police station, right?
Yes, and we learned from the police station, which was a total fiasco. And, you know, the lawsuits and they had like officers involved. And they're like, oh no, let's put it over there. They were changing things. So they have like a room at the police station where you open the door, you walk through the dark to the other wall to turn the light switch on. And that's kind of stuff that happens when you don't have good management running the building. And we had, and what was really cool is, and I'm the one that came up with it, construction camera. We had construction camera up and you could log on and you could watch the construction going on.
The library had some advantages that may could happen again, may happen again, but the library had one advantage is that it happened in 07, 08, 09, 10, right after the financial crisis. You know, a lot of during, but the construction went down and the bids started coming in were really, really competitive because of that process. But that's not the only reason why I saved money, but that was one of the advantages.
Just to make my point, whatever you're paying for the library, multiply that by 10.
Yeah.
Is an example.
Especially in this era of construction costs.
You're talking about a bigger project too.
Yeah.
It's still gonna be on the bill.
The library, what happened to the excess money that was that?
It's in the bank and we have to go in front of the committee.
So sorry, she asked what happened to the extra money. Great question.
That's property tax to our.
Well, every once in a while, we go back to the committee because, you know, we did an addition, we built an outside area for kids. We do stuff every once in a while, improving the building, and that money can come out of them. There's been attempts to try to get that money, but we fought it off.
The recent addition was that interactive play that's there.
There's an addition that's very
And in a few months, you'll see they're gonna start repainting the whole building inside and out, new carpet, whole bunch of stuff's gonna be going on.
Yeah, we're gonna be approving an architect to do the whole concept of refreshing it. So
Yes.
that's money going back
I'd
into
like to
that.
point out the library has the advantage of being staffed by the county.
Yeah.
There's a county library.
Yeah,
So
that's why
Larry Gilroy buildings.
Civic Center will not be.
We own the building, we're part of a joint powers authority. There's 9 out of the 13 cities that are involved, and I sit on that, and we run the libraries. If you ever want to see where government actually can work, is go look at their website. We have like $30 million in the bank. We operate within our budget, usually under our budget. Our libraries are very well run, and they're I think last year they took number 2 in the nation. The Santa Clara, and it's sad that they call it Santa Clara County Library. The county, it really has nothing to do with it, except we get our staffing from the county, because it runs through their payroll and stuff. That's all the county has.
Under the JPA,
Under the JPA.
way in the back. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I saw Zach, I posted about this plan and mentioned the intent is in phase. I'm just wondering if you and council members, thoughts on that, just in terms of the affordability. I mean, I imagine some of the things that are being proposed are or could become much more needed or urgent. Is there a way to kind of prioritize those things? Is that part of the thinking? And so what we commit to sort of pay for then is these incremental elements, do kind of one phase at a time, and that helps ensure it's.
Yes, so we haven't got to that point of prioritization yet, but I will say this will be my personal view. Is that during the process, there was a conversation about what would go first. And a couple of us, I think it was Fugazzi and I, we really had to pressure the consultants to get past the idea that if we in fact do something like this, is that the community things need to come first, right? The consultants wanted to build a new city hall first. And we thought we would get beat up around town if that happened. Like we need the stuff for the kids and the other folks first. So prioritizing. Okay, like look, this was without any funding. This was without any council majority. Rec center, right? But I mean, we have to get to the point of how we're going to pay for this before there's even prioritizing.
I mean, the good part is we own the property.
Yeah,
For the most part, we have
do own
couple
the
of
property.
residential sites by the police station that we don't have control over, but
Yeah.
beyond that, this whole.
We own it. Yeah.
Own it, which is a big
I
asset.
know, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but that will be getting brought up, because this will not. If some of this happens, it will not happen all at once. Who else had their hand up?
So you're saying if you don't use all the bond money that was specific for a purpose, as you said, came in way under.
Yeah.
What happens to that money?
Well, as far as, if you mean for the civic center master plan,
No,
there's no
just
bond.
in general.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the library.
So they left it in the bank and they use it for upkeep and new projects.
Specific for the library.
This was actually, to answer your question from my point of view, this was a point of contention I had before my election, is on things like this that are brought to council. There should be all of the information presented to the community to make a choice. And in this particular case, it was decided that we build another, extension of the library, which is fine. But the part that was missing in the staff report was the fact that another option was to give the money back to taxpayers. And it wasn't said in there exactly in that staff report, and the previous city administrator did not want to put it in the staff report, that if it was going to be $20 a year back to residents, or if it would be 200, or whatever it would be, to the residents, so the residents could weigh in with their representatives to say, yes, I love getting an extension to the library, or no, I think this is more important for us to have our money back because we didn't spend it all.
Or something
So-
else. So I mean,
That's-
so I
that's-
wasn't accusing y'all of being cheated.
There was
I'm
a
just-
law passed a few years ago
Yes,
where we have to adjust the tax bill to give it back. And that's how it's gonna be going back.
but I'm just thinking in terms, I'm sorry, I'm thinking in terms of, that seems too restrictive. And as you stated, maybe we could repurpose that money and everyone would say, hey, that's a good thing to do, you know what I'm saying?
You can't-
I don't necessarily think I want my money
You can't
back.
repurpose it, but you can give it back if it's unspent.
Well, I'm just saying, but
But repurposing would be a whole debate about how to repurpose it. Challenge Becca.
Brett, council's agenda for the next meeting, there's a library improvement decision on it. Where's that one?
From that fund,
What is the improvement that's being?
design fees on the next one, you mentioned it, design fees,
Architect could do the design.
or which, but what's the improvement?
I think you said it as far as.
Those extensions, extending out
Yeah.
the phase.
Well, we built a whole patio and it's enclosed and stuff out over there. And that covers the planning of it, the architects, the construction, then there's certain things you can't like carpet, the city. Or the JPA pays for the carpet, okay? Maintenance and stuff like that can't come out of the bond, only construction costs.
Tied to the original purpose of it.
There are multi-purpose rooms that are getting extended out from what I remember.
Into the patio.
Yeah, into those areas that in order to make more multi-purpose room space. From what I remember, it was in previous council last year that when this approval came to take that leftover bond money and spend it on these improvements on the library.
But that's kind of like that fire station. It was supposed to go in there where, see, you got a capital expenditure, one time boom. But then now you do this, you got an operational expenditure, right? Which doesn't come out of that, as you correctly stated,
Exactly.
right? Exactly.
That's another big challenge. Rachel, you had your hand up.
What's gonna happen, we have like at least 4 or 5 vacant properties. Any,
Probably more than that.
well.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen with those? We're gonna use some of that money to do some improvements.
Do you mean like to liquidate?
So like, like,
Yeah.
you have that big plot,
Yeah.
and you have the house next door, and then over here you have another
Yeah,
house.
so Rich is saying that the city has
Downtown.
properties. Are we gonna do anything? The city of Gary has a lot of properties around town. Some of them are residential buildings, some of them are land. And that's something that's on our council's list, is to review that and to see what we should do with it. Maybe liquidate, maybe use, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, thanks.
Where are we with the fire station?
Who, help me here. So we're, I'll try, I'll take some help. Yeah. Don't help me here. Hold on. The fire station, we have a closed session on Monday on the fire station. So that limits me from giving you any further updates on the fire station.
Well, you say council's not happy with the progress.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was probably evidence from the last one.
yeah, you probably saw it.
Fire.
So one thing that I did not write about in my spotlight was shark sites, but I have been talking about it each month. And so the latest on shark sites is not much has changed from last time, other than that we have established an ad hoc committee. Right, so an ad hoc committee can now, which is made up of Councilmember Klein, Hilton, and Fugazi. And now they're able to expedite this process.
And staff.
And staff, and a lot of staff, they're able to expedite this process about moving this conversation forward at a lot faster pace than it has been.
And we met Wednesday for our first meeting,
We
and
just had
we're
the
gonna
first-
be meeting every other week, so we're gonna be aggressive about this, so.
It was productive.
Correct?
So wasn't a key thing you brought up several times is the increase in cost, and would the sharks step up for that? Is that the kind of the crux of the matter?
Increasing construction costs are, in all parts of the economy right now, so I don't see how that's not gonna be a challenge. You were gonna say something?
I'm just saying, all those things will be discussed with the Sharks. That's where we're at now.
I mean,
Where the
they're the
rubber-
ones that have to
Where the
come up
rubber
with it.
meets the road and how this goes forward. So
But the
that's
dollars-
the whole point of this, is to really
That
get to.
sounds stupid, but dollars are the key.
Yeah.
And they have to either pony up or at least be the guarantee tier, whatever, behind those dollars, right?
And that's the purpose of this group, and I
Okay.
think we have a good group that can really flesh that out
Okay.
and come to the bottom.
Thanks.
You had a few questions, I know.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, so I've been away for like 9 weeks in the
Yeah.
last few months.
Welcome back.
But I got back Monday for 30 days, and 3 times so far, driving around here, I'm seeing SWAT vehicles driving around. And in fact, it's coming in today. There was a SWAT vehicle there, and according to Jack, there was about a dozen officers. I think they're probably police officers, but what's going on?
I was surprised as Jack. So Jack came in and said at the parking lot that there was law enforcement fully geared up, walking from the parking lot into the police department.
Right.
I don't know yet. I
You have
don't,
Morgan Hill
yeah, I don't
there,
know.
so it could be
Quiet training.
Yeah.
training, more likely training.
And they've got a new Bearcat too, so they probably enjoy riding.
Uh,
I'm just kidding.
What I said to Jack, when I said to Jack when when he told me that there was, fully geared up law enforcement, I said to Jack, man, it would really be nice for me to know that in advance.
Yeah.
It really would, right?
Yeah.
They need to do better. I had a conversation, with the interim chief, last month. We had an incident out at Gary Gardens. Right, so they do use the old part of Gary Gardens, that's the land that I was talking about, that we have our eye on for economic development. They use that for training. And, calls started coming in from, these families driving home with their kids from Gary Gardens at the end of the day, and there's full SWAT, full lights at an amusement park, right? So they gotta do better. They gotta do better. There needs to be some postings or something going on. They gotta do better.
Have you told the police chief that?
Yeah, I told, yeah,
The other question that
Yeah.
I had was, in your newsletter, whenever you talked about that you had some kind of a settlement with one of these builder remedies. And all it said was that it's in North Gilroy, okay? But is it North Gilroy along Monterey or Wren or Santa Teresa? I mean, if the description would have been nice if it was a little further.
well, I don't believe I wrote about that in my spotlight, but it was,
I read it in the
it was in the
paper.
agenda, yeah. It was in the agenda, it was in city council business, is that,
Los Santos and Monterey.
yeah, it's Los Animas and Monterey or Murray, right? So if you go Leafly to Murray, we're Black Bear Diner, and you go north of Murray, and you get to Los Animas, which if you turn left, it comes to Monterey Road. That's a project that at one point was under consideration as a builder's remedy project, that this council did approve that
Okay,
project. Yeah.
maybe it was the Mercury I read it.
Yeah, that was it. But not Hecker Pass.
No, all I know is that the article just said North Gilroy.
Yeah, that's the
okay,
problem.
which is
That's the
a
problem.
pretty broad
Yes,
place.
you're right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Appreciate you being here on Saturday morning.
Right.
Yes, sir, Jack.
Yeah, as long as we have time,
Yes, sir.
I have a little anecdote I want to explain.
Please.
During the war, the Army had an Air Force training base at Dos Palace over by Los Banos. And one of my older brothers took his training there. One day we were talking, I hadn't seen him for many years. We were talking about families and so on. I told him, I said, my son Jack was living in Gilroy, working at the high school. And he said, on Saturday nights, they used to put him on a bus and bring him into Gilroy. And I said, well, what in the world did they do in Gilroy during the war? Because it was probably what, 25,000 people
No.
at the most.
Way less
At
than
the
that.
most. And he started laughing. He said, we used to stand on the corner, watch the farmers come to town to get a haircut. That was their big.
That was it.
Big break from the.
It was probably 5,000.
Yes.
Yes.
There was a busy place called Eagle Field over in Los.
Go ahead.
Palace.
Go ahead.
I've been in touch with the police chief and other people I know have gone with me. And there's a problem at our
Gilroy
intersections without lights on some of the major streets in Gilroy. And I went to a meeting recently and 5 out of the 9 have almost been hit crossing an intersection. So we have a serious problem in Gilroy. And they said to come here.
Yeah.
So this should be addressed here because they can't do anything. So I have a suggestion. I'm from San Leandro and I go back there periodically. They solved their problem with bump mats on those very busy streets and it stopped. So I don't know, but they said you have to approve it. Something has to change because they put a big thing in the paper. They put a lighted stop on 7th and Church or whatever, but
Right there.
yeah, but okay, great, but all over town there's problems. And the police said they can't be there and it's a Band-Aid. They can't fix it. It's our culture. Well, we're gonna have some people die very soon and is that our culture to not protect taxpaying citizens who you want bond money for?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we gonna do about it? Right now, it's happening every day.
Well, yeah, we're not gonna put a stoplight on every corner, that's impossible, or a stop sign on every corner, but I do believe that they're right about the culture. So we need a law and order culture in this community.
Well,
On that, Mayor, let's close the meeting.
Yeah. I'll be good with you guys after. Yeah, I'll give you guys after, and maybe you can eventually be somebody. Corners, because